Hi everybody, good evening, how are you all doing? I hope we're having a good weekend so far. Today is Saturday the 24th of August, continuing with the UK's bank holiday weekend. I hope everyone's enjoying it so far. It is very gloomy here on this side of the country. It's been raining pretty much all day, so I hope it will get better as the weekend goes on anyway. Right, so we are now continuing, my dear people. Here we are, we have the latest chapter, season 11 of Smallville. This is Olympus, part 5 of 12. And again, good lord, just carrying on from where we left off last week. Director Bones. Now, remember what I said to him, what I said to you about him last week, in that he is literally, you know, just a skeleton, and he does actually have an application put onto him of skin, flesh and stuff, and literally the first 3 panels you see him with none of the skin on him. One of his minions, I'd rather call him, basically says, "Sir, it's just about time for your weekly application." And Bones is like, "Oh, already?" So he can't. He obviously has to have this application, you know, the skin put on him, you know, grafted onto his skeleton on a weekly basis by the looks of things. Whether or not it's due to the fact that he smokes, or it's something else entirely, if it's something more mystical and mythical and magical sort of thing, the 3 M's. So yeah, so he has to put on a certain appearance. But as I say, if you've read any of the comics, you know, outside of Smallville, especially Wonder Woman comics in particular, you will know exactly how Director Bones looks. Not just Wonder Woman, but also Batwoman as well at the same time. Now, something's happened. His security has picked up that one of his alerts has gone off, that someone has been using his system known as IAF-SIS, and he's not particularly happy about that. We do eventually find out who was poking around in the system, and so we're back with Lois, Clark, and Martha. Lois has just come back from giving Shelby a good walk, which is awesome. So Batman has obviously given Clark some forensic tools to help out with the investigation, and it's amazing how they're using this technology to hack into, well, I say hack, you know, find out the 5 people who tried to capture. If either it was Martha Kent or Bones that they were trying to go after. Then they find out who Felix Faust is, as we saw at the back end of, well, I say the back end of last week's chapter, but it was the chapter before that anyway, chapter 3. So as I say, they're investigating, and they find that what they saw at the it says here that IAF-SIS pinged the prints as belonging to a Felix Faust. These are the fingerprints that they found that Superman and Diana found at the Freemason tomb that they're at in last week's chapter. So the fingerprints were that of Felix, but it says that the data for these fingerprints goes as far back as the 40s. So yeah, that's a creepy thing right there. So they dig deeper, and there's a restricted access, of which Martha Kent then intervenes. She cracks her knuckles, and it's amazing when she says, "I might not be a hologram, but I think I've still got a trick or 2 up my sleeve. When the Red Queen helps take down a shadow government organisation, no one really thinks to change her passwords." So yeah, that's just amazing. So they stumble upon something interesting involving one of the characters, and it's not just Felix that we're talking about here, it's someone else. So they're very, very surprised to see this other person in this picture that has emerged, that goes back to the 40s, and it's a group known as well, or something back in World War II, some sort of cult known as Shadow Pact, or an elite anti-occult, as they put it here. So this Shadow Pact group contains one figure in particular, and it is that of Satana's father, John. And well, he did some bad things back in his day. and Zatanna paid for it later on in life, bless her. So a bit more investigation needs to be done, of which Clark now has to go and speak to Diana about, you know, what he has found, and just how Diana falls into place in all of this, that, you know, this what they're investigating and stuff. So he goes off to find out. In the meantime, Director Bones, now fully applicated, with skin on his bones, meets with Felix, and they have a lovely little tete-a-tete, as I would like to call it. And they talk about Shadow Pact, and Felix is talking about Diana in that she's not of this world. Bones thinks he means that she's an alien. Well, in a sense, yes, she is. She's actually made out of clay. And he talks about the harpies that he sent to attack Diana as well as Lois, which were actual mythical creatures, to go and find Diana. And so Felix obviously is telling Bones to capture and detain Diana because she's bad news as far as he's concerned. You know, to the point of where Faust actually attacks Bones, and when I say attack, it's using magical powers, and basically the skin that Bones has just put on him is just all pretty much evaporated. So as I say, that altercation between them was quite interesting. I'm sorry. Apologies, it's all going off here. So we're back at the apartment of one Steve Trevor, and a certain figure is walking around the apartment, and it is none other than Diana herself. This is their first meeting since Paradise Island. Steve comes out of the shower, and let's just say Diana is a little bit, well, both are a bit embarrassed, because it's when Diana says, "You have certainly grown." Then she's like, "I cannot believe I just said that." It's like, well, okay, how do you think he feels? You know, he's standing there buck naked with nothing but an American football to, you know, cover his modesty. So when he eventually finds out who she is, he then realised that it was her at the cathedral with Lois, and, you know, that she's now got, you know, powers and such. And then she sees a photo that sparks a bit of anger in her. And remember how in the last chapter how Artemis was trying to stop Diana from leaving the island because her mother had disappeared. And then obviously when Superman and Diana were at the tomb, they found that what they saw at this Freemason's tomb was the stories written were from Hippolyta herself, aka Diana's mother. So Diana's wondering, how is it possible that her mother is, you know, could her mother still be alive? And let's just say that there's more to her and Steve than, you know, Diana ever thought could occur. And then towards the end, literally at the very end, Director Bones arrives, skin put back on for his sake, and he's not alone. He's brought his army with him, basically, and it just says to be continued. Who knows what's going to happen? Diana kind of feels betrayed because she thinks Steve planned it all, but Steve is none the wiser. But the way that Bones is shouting orders, you would think that Steve had planned it all, but he didn't. He had no idea. So that's where it leaves. It'll be interesting to see where this takes us next week, and whether or not Bones and Diana are actually going to face off, or the army are going to, you know, fire a few rounds at her first. Who knows how it's going to end up? But don't forget, Superman is on his way to speak to Diana. So whether or not it'll be a case of he will also intervene, should make up for a tasty little battle. I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you all very much. See you all very soon. Bye.